Okay, so we're back here. So last video we worked on a few different things. We got some positioning on our stuff fixed here, so if we hit the remove, it takes us back to the correct GUI. And we started working on the settings GUI. However, we discovered a problem where the text was rendering incorrectly. And the theory right now is that the reason it looks like it's double rendering is that that shadow, which you can barely see on the outside of here, is rendering the same color. And this is due to the blending effect that we have enabled at the moment. How we're going to fix this is we're going to create a render object, which is basically a stripped down version of the text field. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy the entire text field. And, you know, actually, we might be able to do something here. We might be able to just disable the background on our GUI fields and then disable it from being edited. Okay, so let's take a look at how we got this. Okay, so we have cam lose focus, a few other things. Let's take a look at the render things. I think if we just disable it, it'll work. Okay, so super mouse press is going to, of course, make our disable work perfectly fine. It's the do render I'm a little concerned about if it has some kind of handling for enabled versus disabled. So we want to disable background drawing. Other than that, it looks good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make some text fields to handle all of our labels, which is ironic when you think about it. We're basically making a label. Actually, you know, we're going to make an object for this anyways, and that way we can control a little bit of its handling. So down in the prefabs, components, there's our text field. So we're going to really quickly just make another object. And we'll call this GUI label. And we're going to extend GUI filled. And then we're going to create constructor matching super. And then we're going to go, okay, set or enable background drawing to false by default. And then we're going to set enabled to false as well. So that way, by default, when it's created, it'll go ahead and it'll be a certain size. And it will be disabled, which will change the size, by the way. This will be 8 pixels shorter than the normal component would be. And that'll work. And we're going to go ahead and put a string in here. String label. And we'll go set text label. What's going on? I'm hearing my dog bark in the background. Oh, okay. My mom must have just got home. Like the dog is freaking out. Okay, so we got our GUI label, and we'll go and how we want to handle this, because we really don't need to position this thing, so we really don't need to really care where it's at. Because what we need is we just need it to be actually not on this screen at all. Where's our GUI? Okay, here's our GUI. So we're going to put it on here, and we need it to be left of this object, and this object needs to change size, of course. We're going to have to get our relative size here. We're going to have to figure out how big our component is. So what we'll do by default is go GUI label, and this will just be and we'll set this to 0, 0 because we'll set its relative position, and we'll go, okay, this is parent. This will, of course, be translated later. Yep. Okay, so we'll do this. Actually, we don't need that because we can just handle that via spacing. We need to call add on this. That way it gets added to the... If it's not added, it won't render. And then we'll go parent field label, set relative position. And we'll mimic this whole logic here. This is kind of what we need to change right here is this thing. So we want to go, okay, parent field label dot get width plus 5. And I'm going to borrow this real quick, and we're going to actually borrow the whole line. And we'll just rename a few components here. This needs to be, say, 2 pixels from the edge. And then we need to minus some more width here. So we want to get parent field label .get width. And I'm going to have to program some stuff here later to do this automatically, because if you notice, we're starting to get into a point where there's a lot going on. What we would do is we would actually create a subframe or something to handle both of these at the same time, or we would create a field that rendered its own label, which is actually an option in order to have that render. We would have to do quite a bit of work to get that to work, so I'm going to maybe not approach that right away. I think I can make it work. The most easiest way is just make a frame object that you can create that contains both a label and a field. That way I don't have to create a custom object that has a label appended to the front of it. Although I could do a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lot of things you can probably make work. Yeah, we should be good here. This should auto-handle itself, and if we go ahead and launch, it should be handled. I'm going to go ahead and synchronize the new component we just made. It's not detecting changes. Oh yeah, because it's not voltage, it's prefabs. I'm never going to get used to the fact I did this and changed all that stuff. What did we change it here? Oh, we added color reset. Okay, I'll go ahead and commit that. This is actually nice. You know how quickly that actually committed? SourceTree likes to like gag on itself every time you try to do anything. Really quick push, really quick commit, not really laggy. The only thing that's really laggy is the transition between these, and I think that's not even too bad. That's actually quick. I estimate like the more I use this, the faster it'll probably start to run because it's just brand new install. Man, I'm satisfied with it. I regret not switching to Kraken earlier. A few people told me about this application quite a while back, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to stick with SourceTree. I don't want to change anything right now. I don't have the time. And I'm like, you know what, I need to change now my system because SourceTree is not functioning as I need it to do, and reinstalling it has been told by support, it just hasn't fixed it. The system just flat out isn't working. But this looks nice. This works nice. Of course, I'm still going to build my own Git client eventually because I have needs for much more than this software could probably offer. Unless this software has plugins, I might add plugins to it. I wonder if the Pro version has plugins. Let's see. Yeah, my mom just brought me a muffin. It's a brown little paper thing. That is a little strange. I wish I had a camera to show you guys this. I'll take a picture of it, maybe throw it on my Twitter if the picture comes out well. I have a whole bunch of videos I actually need to edit and upload too because we had like almost monsoon style rains here in Ohio yesterday, and it was so bad that we felt like we were going down Splash Mountain while driving down Main Street. Now I'm saying Main Street, that's actually not the name of the street, but you guys get the point. Big road. It was like a 4 lane road, and cars were driving through the water, and the water was going above the vehicles. And my brother had to literally almost crawl to a stop while driving through this stuff because his vehicle started to like shake as we went through the water. He actually lost pieces of rust off his truck because that water was so bad it just pushed the pieces of rusted sheet metal off of it. And we actually need to weld up more sheet panels for it. Anyways, well, it worked. It just didn't work well, right. We gotta set the width. Parent field label dot set width. I want to say 40 is a good width for this. And what we'll do is we'll go back, and if we open it up again, it should reload. It is working. We still have this render, which needs to go bye-bye. Yeah, so we got our text box there. For whatever reason, it's still rendering a background behind it. I'll deal with that later. I'll just have to change the rendering on it. Our height is going to be about 10 pixels. So we're going to do this real quick. So go parent field dot set height. I could probably set it to 0 pixels and it still render. Okay, that's good. We just need to center it now, so we need to drop its height down by a little bit more. So we're going to do 10. Actually, 10 might be a bit much. I might only need to do 5. We'll go with this first, so we'll go back out and come back in. Yeah, I was right. 5. It would probably be 10 if I didn't think this is already pre-centered. Yeah, that's good. That's right where we want it. We need to change the height of this text field. It needs to be 20 pixels rather than whatever the hell it is. So let's, oh, it is 20 pixels. What's with the add button? The add button looks smaller. Oh, that's right. These have the text fields have a border. So this needs to be 18. That's good. We just need to drop its height down by 2. I don't like the fact that the text fields are not perfect size. And what was that? Look at an explosion outside. It is, I guess, still slightly rainy. Apparently -1 is what we, or +1 what we need. That's good. So that's lined up. We got our little text field object here. We can type into this and we can actually probably do stuff with it. We need to set the text field with whatever the current parent object actually is. And this needs to be called set. Or, yeah. We need to add button handling for this. I don't need this anymore. That's almost useless. Oh, we're still having problems here. So we're going to have to add a label to this object here. Do we super initialize GUIs properly? Yeah, we do. So we call that, so we can handle that here in a second. So we're going to go ahead and restart Minecraft again. And yeah, I'll just put this down here because it'll be the easiest spot to stick it. Actually, you know what? We need to stick it higher so it can be seen quicker. So it means we don't need this this do render method. It can pretty much stay empty. We'll move it up a little higher so it's right below this object. And yeah, we just need to make a label. So I'm trying to decide if I need to catch this label, and the answer is sort of yes, because this is a prefab and we want to be able to get access to these. So GUI label, and this will be group name label, because you may want to turn that label off. Maybe not get rid of it, but maybe turn it off for whatever reason. So this will equal new group GUI label 00 the name plus group ID. And we don't need to change this because this is a final object, so that never changes, so we don't need to care about that. We then need to set its height and width, so this will be group name label dot set width, and we'll say this is about 50 pixels, maybe 100. It's actually going to probably be pretty long. Group name label dot set height. It's 10 pixels wide. We'll have to fix the background render on these still. Then we're going to go group name label dot set relative. And we'll say, okay, we're 5 by 5 from the corner. So that'll work. And that should do it. So that'll get us our group name label, so that'll fix its rendering improperly. Then we need to kind of deal with this guy down here, which is our error string. You know what, he'll be fine. Because this won't show up, and if it does show up, somebody can take a screenshot and send it to me like, there's this weird gray text I can't read. Actually, it turns red, so it'd be readable. Yeah, we look good on this. And what we need to do is just kind of fix the rendering on this guy. So we want to change how the do render works. Okay. So here's our background render, which renders apparently probably a white text box and then a black one. That's what it kind of looks like it's doing. I don't know if what these colors actually are, I'm guessing. String, trim, string to width. Yeah, okay. So width does matter. I might remove this. Actually, I'm going to go to do, make optional. We'll leave some notes in here. I got to go through and rename a lot of these flags and stuff. So this needs to be renamed. Enabled collar. Or this would be that's used to draw the string with a shadow, draw string with shadow, draw string with shadow. So I think it's, yeah, it's just a collar. So it's enable versus disabled collar. We might notice a difference on that. Okay, so this is our rendered cursor position. There's a lot of stuff in here that would need to be handled. I think this might be it, maybe. There's one of these text boxes we're looking for. So what we're looking for is a draw rect, pretty much, that's rendering our background thing, and I believe it is this right here. Because we get our font height, and it's a flag 2. I think flag 2 is highlight, is what that is. So it's not that. We get a flag 1. Flag 1 is focused. And something about a cursor position. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to read through here to figure out what exactly all this is doing. But we are getting a background render. And I suspect it's coming from our super render object here. Yeah, it's coming from this. So what we need to do is we need to change this from do render to draw button because we're overriding the entire render system. We do need to still call super.draw button because I want that debug code if we ever need it, which is important. If is visible. Yeah, plus we need all the action events and stuff. Let's make another method for this. We're going to call something called protected void render, and we'll just copy all of this. Because right now we're doing a lot of actions up here that are not shared by everything. But we still want to kind of attempt to share as much as possible, but still ensure we're calling basic things like mouse drag. So if we call render MC mouse X mouse Y, one this makes this a little easier to read too, to be honest. But see, we're drawing the background here. We don't have. I guess we could enable a background render, which would work. But we got this blend function stuff here. So this stuff is not used by anything we have, and yeah, it's fine. We're resetting color, so reset color to default. Set up blending. We could make a Boolean function for this. And then we go reset color again. Okay, actually we'll just call this debug render code. This actually is main render code. So this calls down here, and this will be our main render method. So this will be main render method background render method. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll actually create a boolean in here. So go protected, boolean, enable blending. And we'll set this up so that way you can turn blending on and off. Because then this lets us use our whole system properly. So if we want to render all this and do all of our stuff, we can do this now in the GUI field without worrying about it screwing up all of our lighting and everything. And what we actually can do is protected void pre-render. So what we're doing is we're just kind of breaking things up into some render pre and post calls and a few other things. That way our extend logic works a lot better. I actually, if you've ever seen my wire code, which most of you probably have not because I made it years ago, it worked very similar to this. We had pre-post merge and a whole bunch of other stuff to handle all of our logic. So this will be part of our pre-render call. We can reset our caller prior to render, which is something that we would want to do regardless. There's no reason not to reset your callers. And we're going to update no matter what. So the thing is, you update even if you're not visible, in case you want to make sure information is refreshed in a timely manner. And yeah, we can then start migrating a lot of our calls here. So we can render our backgrounds. We can go to our GUI field and separate our background render out. And we can do our main renders. And we got our debug renders. Which I need to reset our caller for a debug render. It's not actually being done. Okay. All looks pretty good. So now we just need to go over to our GUI field and we just need to start actually utilizing a lot of this stuff. So let's reverse a few changes here. Okay, so our do render call is empty, so we'll call super anyways. We don't need the visibility check because that's already handled for us. Now what we want to do is override our pre and our post call. So we would go up to our component object, which I closed for whatever reason. So we want to take these two guys. And we're not even going to bother disabling the blending because we're just going to ignore it straight out. So we'll go and click and get rid of those two. And then our pre-render call, we're going to enable lighting or disable lighting and blending. And then we're going to, in our post call, we're going to turn them back on. And let me make sure that I did call both of those. Okay, I made them, but I did not call them. So we would do pre, and then we would have post render. There we go. Called before rendering to set up OpenGL effects. Called after rendering to reset OpenGL effects. That's the primary usage for those. You can do other things with them. I don't really care what you do with them. If you ever extend my stuff, just remember if you break it, it's your problem. Okay. Here's our background render. So what we do is we would render back. So we go call actually, I think it's like draw background. Yeah, it's draw background. Why do I actually have these named different? So this actually should be called render background. Actually, you know what? It's fine. So we're going to copy that and we'll throw this up here. Override it. The cool thing about doing this is if we decide to make different colored text fields and stuff, we now know exactly where the background render code is inside of the system. We don't have to worry about it or anything. We know it's there, we know how it functions. What else we got down here? So this is I don't know what these flags do. I really don't. And I got to figure out what they do because I'm pretty sure that's what we need to remove. But I believe this is only for highlighting. So what we could be seeing is the very fact that we just had a hierarchy problem where we were rendering the background even though we didn't want to be. That's what I think is going on. But we're going to have to test that in a second. And unfortunately, people are running blenders and stuff. And I have a supersized fly running around my house or room right now. That thing is huge. Awesome. It just flew out of my room and I closed the door. Win. I don't have to worry about it. No, I'm not joking. That thing's a big fly. Not the size of a marble, but about half the size. So it's either a really large housefly or it's a horsefly. Actually, it's a little small for a horsefly. For those who have never seen a horsefly, they get pretty large, and they're the ones that if they bite you, you instantly feel that bite as if somebody stabbed you. Where a normal fly, if it bites you, it doesn't even have enough power to really do much other than break off some dead skin cells. Unless you have an open injury, and then they might try to eat blood coming off the injury. I've had that happen before. Let's see, what is DMod typing to me? Okay. Oh, weird. He's typing to me in the work channel for some reason. I think he meant to type into the dev channel. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'll have to talk to him later. He'll probably pop into TeamSpeak here when I'm on and bug me, and we'll see what's going on. I prefer to usually do all work over voice chat because it works out better. We use text chat just to kind of keep communicating with each other when we're not all online at the same time. But it has its drawbacks where you have trouble understanding somebody and you spend too much time asking questions, and it's better just to wait till you can do text chat. Okay, we've had an immediate reaction where I lost all alpha transparency. Oops. Thou has borked the system, and it has been broken completely. Yeah, this is what I messed up. True. So it's good to see what these look like without blending turned on. They actually kind of look a little better. You're set to true now. Why aren't you working? Oh, wrong spot. With all the distraction of stuff flying around my room and having to listen to a blender on higher RPM. Not to mention I can hear my computer next to you. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear that coming through too. It's trying its hardest to keep up with its calling efficiency. There we go. There's our alpha transparent GUIs. And there we go. We are now removed from our thing. We are getting a disabled debug render here. That's our next thing to tackle, is making that not necessarily render disabled. That would be... Actually, it's an easy fix. I just have to fix it. I need to make my enabled color the same as my disabled color, all my labels. So go to label. It would literally be this this dot enabled. Those are private variables, aren't they? Yeah, they are. We'll switch these to methods in here in a second. That's how we'll actually do that. It looks good, fine though. We're just having some problems with the button rendering, which we'll have to deal with at some point in time. I think that is literally those buttons are actually no, because we're rendering these are the same buttons, these are the same class object, but for some reason when on a sub GUI they break. I don't know. Let's just get some stuff working here. It's not too much to worry about button rendering as long as it works. Actually, you know what? That is probably the same problem we're having. It's not resetting on the text render. Yeah, I think it's actually the issue. I'll have to go look at how the normal button renders, and I'll have to fix my button because I reset how the render system worked for the GUI button too. It's working here because we don't have anything messing with it, but down here there's some stuff that's switching back and forth between render cycles and applying blending probably incorrectly, and we're getting some weird render overlays. We're not getting our title bar up here. It's not working on any of the screens here, so we'll have to fix that. Yeah, we forgot to call add. That's the reason why this isn't working. We can easily test that though as soon as it reloads. There we go, we get our add system. We need to pop it over by the width of the back button. I don't know what your size is. You're 15 wide, okay. So, 20? What gives? Oh, we're not setting it in the right spot. So 25. Actually, no, it just needs to be 20. Yeah, that's fine. We just got to fix the collar now and make it actually render the proper collar, which we'll hit up here in a bit. I need to move this over here still. We'll get to that eventually here. And then now we just need to set the current thing here, which we need to do via an update method. So we're going to hit that in a second. So we need to actually initialize it first. So we want to go nodefill.set text, and this would be get group.get extended group name. So we'll set it there, but we then need to go and make an update method, which I'm going to go ahead and get the super and just copy it real quick. So be super.update.mc mousex mouse y. Add override. And then we want to go, okay, if nodefill is rather not focused, so we have to put a not symbol in front of it. Then we want to go, okay, nodefill.set text is the parent group. And the reason we're doing this is because if we get a packet from the server that changes our text field and we're still staring at it, we want to make sure it updates for us. We do need to probably disable this button automatically if we don't have permission to use it, but we'll do that later. And I'm going to go ahead and trim off this render method because we don't need it anymore. I'm trying to think what else we need. Oh yeah, since we're closed, we might as well go ahead and take care of this here. So what we want to do is, I'm just going to create a couple methods up here and I'll move them up here in a bit. So protected, protected int get text caller, and we'll return this number. And then we'll get, actually, you know what? Boolean disabled. Or Boolean enabled. No, actually, we don't even need to do that. So how we do it, we go, okay, if enabled, or rather is not enabled, we return this color. So this way we don't have to store those two in memory because we're wasting a couple bytes of memory for that. And we'll go ahead and we'll take this and we'll throw this towards the bottom somewhere. And I don't care about this. And we'll just need to go get text color. Now we're just going to make this final because I want to make sure it's not being changed. And we'll change this to text render color. So we now know for sure what that is actually used for. And we can now override it. So now we can go take this and we can go find our GUI label. And we can come down in here and we can get rid of it. By the way, since I didn't note it, that background text rendering background we get rendered behind the text, that was being caused by having that hierarchy issue where we were rendering everything. And this would be a version of GUI filled that cannot be edited. We'll probably rewrite this completely. So leave a mark to do rewrite to not extend GUI filled. Because we're going to do this in reverse rather, is we'll put all the raw text rendering code in here, and that way when this is running, this doesn't have all that extra junk code in it where you're detecting for mouse presses or anything else. Because after all, this is never going to be mouse pressed. So actually, so we want to actually do return mouse pressed, and we actually want to set this to always be false. So return false. Actually, you know what? We're probably not going to make GUI filled in this, but we're going to rewrite this because the only thing we really need this to do is to render text with proper lighting and everything, which we're almost to that point where we have that code. Because really, we just need to copy a few things out of here, like the right text part. We don't need to delete words. We don't need to delete cursor. We don't need any of this stuff. I don't think we need this. A lot of this we just flat out don't need. But we do need the pre-render. And we do need a lot of this stuff until we can figure out what exactly that does. We don't need like the render this crap, any of that stuff. Right now it's not too big of an issue. It's going to add maybe just like a couple nanoseconds to the runtime to have that code in there. And it's a very slight amount of memory. But we'll go ahead and run this up and this should work. And then we just need to write some packet code after this and we're done for this video. Speaking of which, while that's loading, I need to make sure I copied the last video. Okay, seeing as some of these are like 4 megabytes and stuff, I'm gonna say these two are probably bloopers. There are a couple 300 megabyte videos in here, and I may need to make sure those are uploaded. And yeah, there's a couple in the folder already. So there could be potentially a couple recordings that are in there that have not been uploaded yet, and I gotta go make sure those are uploaded. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'll probably do that after this. Good stretch. Oh man, I got the door shut to my room, and now it's just getting hotter and hotter in here because this computer is running, trying to keep itself cool. The stupid thing is, by the way, if we open up Task Manager, I'm not pushing this very heavily. By the way, just as an indicator, this is never actually properly indicates your performance usage. You need to actually open Resource Manager to see what you're at properly. Because I have 8 cores on my machine. Yeah, we're not really peaking them all. That one's completely, pretty much non-existent on usage. Actually, no, that's not even a CPU. That's service usage. These are actually surprisingly all being used pretty evenly, which is weird. And I was trying to see if a couple of these... I've been told that AMD's 8 cores are actually 4 cores. I was trying to see if any of those actually matched each other on processor rate. Oh well. So we are actually kind of pushing this computer a little bit. I do plan to get a new computer here in about maybe 6 or 7 months. Sooner if I make money, but that's not going to happen. Oh no, we crashed. Yeah, because not all groups have extend groups, so... You know what? This shouldn't have crashed though. It's gonna be null. Yeah, I'll do this real quick. This should prevent the crash. I'm going to actually look at the null point exception here in a second to see what actually caused it, but this is what I think actually caused it. Oh, good look at that. Our prefab has got a bug. Yeah, that'll fix it. So yeah, our filled box, which means Minecraft filled box, has the same problem. You can't set with null text. A little dumb in my opinion. You should always be able to set null on something. Because null is another way of saying I just want to delete whatever you have in there. Oh man, I touched the side of my computer case and it's like it feels almost as warm as like a cup of coffee, just straight out of the microwave. I'm trying to think of like a better way, like maybe touching your hand on the sidewalk in the 90-degree weather is what it feels like. So it's actually pretty scalding hot. Yeah. I'm planning on building a cooling system out of scrap materials. I'm thinking about using soda cans. The reason I'm thinking of this way is I can take a soda can, I can cut it up, turn it into a pipe-like object, fill that pipe-like object with structural supports. Those structural supports will be made out of aluminum cans as well. Not only will they help the can from collapsing and holding the pressure of the water, they'll also act as cooling systems themselves, retaining heat, because aluminum is a really good conductor. Or not, I guess it's a good conductor of heat. It's actually a good capacitor of heat, is I think actually what the proper term is. But building that, I can build up one of these and I can just run water through it at a very slow pace and it will just pick up the heat off the computer casing and carry it away. And this will be built to sit next to the machine, so I don't have to worry about the pipe rupturing and destroying my machine. So it'll be water safe, but it'll pick up enough of the heat, and I'll probably double, even triple layer it too with aluminum cans to prevent leaking. And then I don't know what we're going to use to seal it up with though. But I'll build the system and it'll carry heat away, or all honesty, I might just go buy copper pipes. Even though they're like expensive, they're not that bad. Because all I need to do is have a copper pipe system next to the computer itself, and then I could use rubber hoses to carry the water to another heat expel system. So I need a heat capture and a heat expel system, and it'll work out really well. There we go, that works. And if we go to admin, it will have user in here. So yeah, that works out really well. We have a settings page now, so you can change the parent group. We need some tooltips for this, of course. We need to change this, but I'm gonna call this into the video so I can go do a few things, and then I'll come back with more work here later.